If this whole AI explosion, all the hype, the crazy headlines, the massive investments, and yeah, even the anxiety, if it all feels kind of familiar, well, you're not wrong. Turns out we've basically seen this movie before. And understanding the past might just be the best way to figure out what's happening right now. So let's get into it.
So here's the big question we're tackling. Is this generative AI boom a totally unique moment in history? Or is it really just an echo of another chaotic, world-changing tech revolution? The dawn of the commercial internet back around the year 2000.
I mean, just look at this. The parallels are pretty wild. On one side, you've got the internet trying to find its feet after the dot-com crash. You had search engine wars, big-time workforce disruption, a total mess. And on the other side, today, the Gen AI explosion, the same struggle to prove its value, and yep, that same anxiety about jobs. Both of these are what you could call chaotic, foundational eras. And that's the key idea we're gonna unpack. Okay, so this brings us to our first big point. Both of these periods are what we can call crucible moments. These are those intense, high-pressure times that don't just give us new tools, they actually forge entirely new rules for how business, and even society, actually works. It's what's called an architectural shift, and that's a huge deal. Think about the early internet for a second. It was basically just a bunch of digital billboards, right? Companies threw up banner ads and just hoped for the best. It was pure chaos. But over time, it evolved into a structured marketplace, where value is tied directly to performance. The argument here is that AI is going through that exact same transition as we speak, from a cool, chaotic experiment to a structured engine of our economy. And that shift leads directly to the core economic problem that connects both of these eras, that desperate, desperate search for real, measurable value. It's the journey from chasing something vague like eyeballs to demanding cold, hard return on investment. And this number, wow, this just says it all. By 1999, the average click-through rate on a banner ad had tanked to a pathetic 0.36%. People had developed banner blindness. The entire economic model, which was built on paying for people to just see your ad, was completely collapsing. Billions were being spent on ads that almost nobody was clicking. The model was broken. Period. So the solution came in 2002 from Google. Now, this formula looks pretty simple, but it was absolutely revolutionary. With AdWords Select, Google said an ad's rank wasn't just about how much money you bid. Nope, it was a combo of your bid and your click-through rate. For the very first time, this formula connected money directly to relevance. If you made a better, more relevant ad, you were rewarded. This is what built the entire performance economy that pretty much powers the web today. Okay, now let's jump back to today. The promise of AI is just staggering. Early data is showing that, on average, companies are seeing a $3.70 return for every single dollar they invest in generative AI. I mean, with numbers like that, it's really no surprise that global AI investment is set to hit $200 billion by 2025. This is the hype, right? This is the incredible potential that's fueling this whole fight. But here's the reality check. Just like that old banner ad economy, there is a huge gap between the promise and the reality. A staggering 70 to 85% of enterprise AI projects are failing to deliver. Actually, the number of companies just giving up on their AI projects has more than doubled in just the last year. So what we have is this incredible potential, but a massive, massive execution problem. So all these failures, they lead us right to the next big parallel, the Great Quality Reckoning. This is that moment where, for new technology to really grow up, it has to move past just being a novelty and actually become reliable. It has to face a crisis of quality and trust head on. For the internet, that moment came in November 2003. They called it the Florida update. Basically, Google just flipped a switch that suddenly punished all the low-quality, spammy websites that were gaming the system. And for thousands of businesses that relied on those easy tricks, it was a digital apocalypse. It forced the entire industry to professionalize almost overnight. It was Google's way of saying, guess what? Quality now matters more than anything else. And today's version of that SEO spam, it's the AI hallucination. And this data is pretty eye-opening. Even the best models, like GPT-4, are just making stuff up almost 30% of the time in some tests. And look at some of the others. That is some alarming inaccuracy. It's no wonder that 77% of businesses are worried about this. Just like Google had to fix its quality problem, the AI industry absolutely must solve its hallucination problem if it ever wants to be truly trusted. This quote here from Phil First really just hits the nail on the head. AI is not some magic fix for your company's problems. It's an amplifier.
So if you already have messy data and chaotic processes, AI is just going to make that chaos run faster. It exposes the cracks in your foundation. It doesn't pave over them.
So, what does all this disruption actually mean for people? Well, that brings us to the workforce paradox, this strange way these technologies create incredible new opportunities while at the exact same time destroying old established jobs. Let's just look back at what happened before. In 2002, the Yellow Pages was still a $2 billion industry. Can you believe that? But right as its revenues started that final nosedive, internet ad revenue was exploding, jumping from 6 billion to almost 10 billion in just 2 years. See, the internet didn't just compete with the Yellow Pages, it made its entire business model completely obsolete. And today, we are seeing the exact same paradox play out with AI. On the one hand, you have 41% of employers saying they plan to shrink their workforce because of AI, and entry-level jobs are definitely the most at risk. But at the same time, workers who have AI skills are commanding a massive 43% wage premium. AI is creating this really sharp divide between people who can use the tech and people who are being replaced by it. So, okay, if history is really repeating itself, what can we learn from it? How can companies avoid becoming another one of those casualties in that 85% failure rate? Well, the past actually gives us a pretty clear blueprint for how to build for tomorrow. So what really separates the winners from the losers here? The data points to a really clear pattern. First off, the winners get that it's not just about the tech. A full 70% of their investment goes into people and process. Second, they commit real money. We're talking over 20% of their digital budgets go to AI. Third, and this one's huge, they define what success looks like before they even start. And finally, they never, ever let the machine run completely on its own. Human oversight is absolutely non-negotiable. All of which leaves us with one last big question. The internet revolution back in 2000, that gave us the performance economy, a world built on clicks and conversions and measuring what people want. So, as we navigate this new crucible moment, you have to ask, what fundamental new economy is the AI revolution building for us right now?